Bold talks, women share to be bold and take risks. Bold talks, women say what they feel and mean what they say. Yeah. Bold talks, believe in your power, so much power. Yeah. Bold talks, where women share, women share.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are tuning in. If you're catching us live or on the replay, you in his house, no matter where you at. So happy Saturday to you. It's Vault Talks Women Share. We are here. We're excited. And we are going to kick this thing off. We apologize. The technology was trying to stop our greatness, but when you know it's rooted inside of you, you press through anyway. Boom, pam, pow. So ladies, how we doing this morning?
We're doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing great. I'm up. Still waking up. So.
Right? We're alive. We in the building. We represent.
That's right.
So we have a power-packed show, so we're really excited to dive in. So first and foremost, thank you for tuning in. There's a lot of things you guys can be doing, and you guys are here with us, so that says a lot about your dedication and your love for what we do on this platform. So Vault Talks Women Share is a platform where indeed women come together to learn more and share more about matters that pertain to their world. So on this platform, you'll see us talking about relationships, love, entrepreneurship, sisterhood, and indeed ways to be empowered. So, with further ado, I love this part. It's quote time.
Quote time? Okay. So, today's quote is, communication is the key that unlocks the door to understanding. Understanding is a place where peace is waiting to be discovered.
Ooh, one more time for the people all the way.
One more time.
Yes.
All right, so communication is the key that unlocks the door to understanding. Understanding is a place where peace is waiting to be discovered.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, so I came up with that quote due to the fact that we are doing our generation talk today, which I'm excited about, and just talking about how we communicate differently across, different generations. But in general, communication is kind of an art that we have to really learn on the daily, because it's more than one part. Is talking, is listening, and then it's listening to understand.
Right.
A lot of times people go into conversation or they ask questions that they really don't want to hear the answer to. And if you're not speaking or listening to understand, then it's just like, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
So, and in gaining that understanding, that's where peace is really hiding. Because a lot of times we communicate and we have our side, the way we look at things, and the other person have their perspective. And it's just like, okay, maybe it's not matching up right now. But once we talk and get that understanding, we're good. Like, we can be okay, we can move on.
Right.
So
right.
That's where I was coming from with that quote.
I love that, because I have a similar quote, but I talk about communication is the heartbeat to all effective relationships. And so sometimes moments when we maybe we've lost our voice to a situation, and it's so hard for us to really share what's on our heart because of the past. And I know for me that was one of my biggest stumbling blocks until I learned that A, my voice mattered, and B, the fact is that if I don't communicate, how can I expect who's on the other end of that, whether it be a significant other, a family member, an employee, whatever, to really receive and understand where I'm at, to be able to acknowledge where I'm at, and just to be able to say, okay, you know what? Thank you for communicating. I appreciate that. So I know, how to respond and how to even treat you accordingly because I'm communicating. And so that's one of the biggest barriers. But what I realized is that a lot of times it's rooted and grounded in something that we just don't recognize the power of our voice because it's been stripped away at some point.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of you in the light that you're bringing it up to. Communication is something that, it starts from your inner, okay? And you really listening to all perspectives without being judgmental about it. And that can really get in the way because your defense mode can really block you from hearing and listening the way you ought to be. Because that's part of communication. It's, God gave us 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth for a reason. It's really like the transition of being able to communicate on that end because it stems from every level.
Wow.
Yeah, it does. So, my standpoint on that is something where we're able to, communicate with each other and how we're able to, pick your words wisely because sometimes I just paused. I just realized what I did in the essence of me trying to explain it too. It's like, okay, there's a message I want to get across, how can I do that? And, make sure that people understand where it is that I'm coming from without being insensitive to the other person's feelings and how they're going to take it and how they're going to perceive it. So it's really the key to everything. I mean, exactly what this quote says. It is the key that unlocks the doors to understanding. But it has to also be a place where you're willing to listen to.
Right.
Because if you're not willing to hear the information, then it's really just going to go in one ear and out the other. That didn't make sense until people I started to talk to someone and then they literally picked up zero information that I said, I don't think you heard the conversation. Did you just hear? Repeat back what I said.
Wow.
Please.
Yeah.
That way I know that you got it. Okay. And then when they repeat back or the few times that I've had that situation come back to me, it's like, that is not what I said at all.
Ooh.
Yeah, a lot of things can definitely get lost in
translation.
Mm-hmm. And so
especially in a different language too.
So when you say different language, I know, your family is from Haiti, right?
Yes.
So that's like when you said different language, that's good. I'm thinking of the different ways of communicating. So, a message can easily get lost in the translation of an email, a text.
Yes.
The whole sincerity of what you're saying. And what I'm learning, it's depending on that person's emotions on the other end, what kind of day they're having, where they're at in their life. And you're saying something and you're just, talking and they just take it and run with it, so it's interesting on, how we communicate all the time, but are we really communicating?
I don't think that we are. One, texting I'm going to take texting and I'm going to, break it all down. Texting, I think, is so you miss a lot of information when you're texting.
Yeah.
And that's our generation right now. Or I grew up in that generation where it was like, don't call me. I'm not going to pick up the phone. Why? Everything I need to tell you is going to be real quick within a quick couple of sentences. Whereas if I'm texting it to you, it's like I have to now, like those quick sentences won't come off the same way in a text message because we're like, why do you have to write me a storybook about what you're going to say? Do it. If you had just picked up the phone, then you wouldn't think that it's a story or a novel. I was like, I don't know how, speaking that Ebonics. And then when you break things down and you're like, oh, I'm going to talk a little ghetto today, or not really ghetto, but I'm going to shorten things up. Be right back, BRB, When you start to include those phrases, it's hard. Especially it's like, what does that mean? I don't let me search Google real quick what that means, because I have to do that with my cousins. Like, I don't know that's a new one. What's that mean? Like, let me search that up. So you have to be very careful, like, especially with, I guess speaking with all caps means that you're screaming at that person or you're going in. There's a lot of reasons when it comes to texting. I don't like it, but
Yeah, I don't either. I don't text a whole lot because, it's just like I don't put punctuation. So it's just like ongoing type
run
of
on
thing.
sentences.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I ain't got time for that. So, but yeah, with communication too, we have to really find that it's good to approach it. Like if you can schedule a conversation with somebody, just like Takara said, you never know where people are mentally when you
Mm,
approach them with certain things. So it's just like, okay, if you do want to send a text, can we talk later? You know, that type of thing. So you
mm,
can prepare your mind, the other person can be ready for, you know, to exchange in a conversation effectively, and instead of, okay, I'm mad about something that happened at work and you want to talk about this, so I'm gonna respond to you, the way that I wanted to respond to the people that pissed me off, and you ain't done nothing to me.
Right.
So it's just like, let me prepare my mind first before you approach me with, what you want to effectively communicate about. And
mm,
also remember, we have to be honest and then be in a place that we can be vulnerable. If you really want to express and really, like you said, come to a place of peace about whatever it is that you are conversing about, just to be vulnerable and be honest about what it is that you're trying to share. I don't think people really take the time out to just really sit with their truth and really express what it is that they're trying to say. We say a lot, but it comes off in different ways. I know last night I was having a conversation with someone and I'm responding to a thought that I had in my head, but what I said, it seemed like I was talking about something totally different. So I had to go back and explain. I'm like, no, I didn't mean that. This is what I meant.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you have to understand people are not inside of your head. They don't know what you're thinking.
Right.
Yeah, so definitely clear up those miscommunications and misunderstandings. And that is
Yeah.
definitely when you can discover that peace in whatever it is that you guys are talking about.
And that's good
that's
because I think sometimes we use texting as a cover up. I'm going to
mm,
text you instead of literally picking up the phone and having this conversation with you because I'm not one to, have conversations like this because I don't like confrontation. I don't
mm,
like to be that person to have to bring you something, so I know some people do that. For me, I'm learning that my grandma texts now. So that's and she's pretty good at it, so that's interesting. But I think for me, they know that I'm always like I'm on the phone or on a conference call or something. So instead of me not answering their phone call and feeling some type of way, they text me instead. So it's, that's one of the things that we do in our family now. But I know some people who literally struggle with, let me text you because I don't want to have this conversation with you. And like, that's their whole thing, and then some people feel like if I text you, I have a paper trail versus me calling you.
Yeah.
Receipts.
Right. I have a paper trail now that, no, on June 9th, you said blah, da, 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 da. No, but then on the 13th, you said da, 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 da. So what did you really need? So, and the crazy thing about it, and now I'm really showing my age. One of my first phones was a Nokia, and it was a small little phone, and the only game we had on there was Snake.
Yeah.
That was the only game you had on there. There was no downloading games. There was none of that. But I do remember we had a texting function on there, but nobody did that back then. You still had your pager and your cell phone. So, times have indeed changed to where texting is the go-to for a lot of, means of communication. And I'm really excited about today's topic because we literally will have 3 different generations of women on the platform to be able to talk about, what communication looks like, between the generations, because there's definitely a difference. And so being able to know how to effectively communicate, not even just from, picking up the phone, texting standpoint, even, within the workplace, how one another can literally help one another just by simply communicating. We're the millennials, so I'm on the further spectrum. I'm really close to being a Generation Xer by a couple years. Yeah. Wow. I just said that. Yeah. So I had an aha moment like, you'll be 40 in 2 years. Holy cow. Look good though. On crack. So, but right. So it's just interesting, just the whole, learning how to communicate with other people. And what I'm learning is that some people are open to communication. Some people say that they're open to communication, but when you start to have those conversations with them, you see that they're really not. You see that they just back up and they're closed-minded, and you're wanting to push forward, and they just steady go back, and you're like, what is this all about? Because sometimes communication is uncomfortable for a person, even though it's needed.
Yeah, especially in our culture though, because we don't talk. Like you always say, like what happened in this house stays in this house. So we're not used to expressing things and bringing things up in conversation to get that clarity and understanding. So it's a practice. It's something that you definitely have to get used to. Talking about certain things is uncomfortable. Everybody has that thing that they don't like talking about. It's taboo, or it makes them feel a certain type of way. But that's something that you have to work on within yourself. And then it's a root to everything. So you have to discover, like, why does this make me uncomfortable to talk about this?
Right.
And that's a great question to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that
is such a
that takes you wanting to know the answer.
Yes. And that's what's that famous phrase? You can't handle the truth. They really can't. And it's like, you tell them about themselves. Like, I've been told about myself. And I was like, oh, this hurts. This stings. But you know what? I'm happy you told me. All right. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you. We gonna move on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's the thing.
Definitely.
Being able to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
it's a struggle for some folks.
Yeah, it's a struggle for some people, and not, honing in on, oh, they offended me, they said. And learning to let it roll off your back, because the thing is acknowledge it. Does it do the inventory? Does it fit? Is it supposed to be on the shelf? Or are you supposed to discard it? A lot of times it's supposed to be on the shelf because it's true.
Yeah. We don't ever like to hear anything about us, but we can tell people about themselves all day long. But the thing is, you have to reveal even the things about yourself in order to heal it. So you have to reveal it first, and then try to work on, okay, why do I do this? Why do I approach things this way? So yeah, that's what I'm learning, definitely, in my personal life. So I mean, it's not easy, but it has to be done.
Yeah.
It's about your expectations at the end of the day. Like, what are you expecting? What are you hoping for? What is your faith telling you to look towards on that end? So if you don't have that set, or if you don't understand where it's coming from, then it does make it a whole lot harder than what it needs to be.
That part, understanding where it's coming from. But then I'm going to throw this back at you. That's a choice to want to understand where it's coming from. And so some people are cool with it. This is my way of life. I'm so good. I'm not going to change for nobody. They have that stance. You're going to take me and you're going to love me for who I am, which is good to a certain extent. However, boo, hear how you sound. There's some woundedness going on. There's some brokenness going on in what you're just saying. So it's like, you can have that stance. And it's so interesting. The older I get, I said it. The older I get, the more I literally hear those things that my mom and my grandma were telling me, like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I'm like, ooh, but it's real. It's so real. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, but it definitely comes from if you choose to grow, because people get so comfortable in how things are, how they always been. But if you are trying to get to that next and really have effective relationships and communications with other people, you're gonna have to learn how to be mutable, and how to change, and just grow. Like, this is what life is about. If you were meant to stay the same, things will just stay the same. You have to grow in order to change things around you.
That's
because
good.
That's how certain relationships fall apart. It's because communication. I don't understand you, you don't understand me, or we didn't even take the time out to try to understand each other.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just talk it out. We got to learn how to
Wow.
talk more.
Well, speaking of relationships, wink, wink. Next Saturday is He Said, She Said, They Share.
Yeah.
Anybody knows, now you know, that's probably one of our hottest segments because we allow the men on our panel to come and talk about, something that, is passionate to them as well as us, and we need to learn from them so we can be a better woman. Amen. Hallelujah. Yes, it's real. So
Man.
yeah, so we're excited. He Said, She Said, They Share, and then we have Isha kicking off the show with her segment. You want to talk about it a little bit, Ish?
Yeah, so my segment is called Love for Real, and it's just talking about, how we show that to ourselves and each other. Like, are we really, when we say we love someone, do we really know what it means? And are we showing that?
Yeah.
So it's a good thing to kind of pair with that He Said, She Said segment as it pertains to relationships, because, that all comes together and we can all learn more how to love each other better. So I'm excited about it.
I am too.
I'm excited to talk about it. Ooh, girl. I'm about to take notes over here.
Right. It's always good. It's always a good time to be able to, allow for the men to really step up and share from their standpoint and just coming together all together to really be able to hone in on some things that, sometimes aren't talked about nor addressed. And so on this platform, we definitely talk about these things and nothing is off the table. So that's the amazing thing about having your own platform. We talk about everything. So get ready. You might hear about sex. You might hear about religion. You might hear about whatever we want to talk about regarding relationships. That's what we do during that time. And so any wrapping, we're going to wrap it up. Is there any other, closing remarks before we move on to the next segment, ladies?
Talk to your people. Have conversations. Don't be afraid to kind of uncover certain things to get that better understanding.
Absolutely. Liz?
Ask open-ended questions. Definitely ask open-ended questions. There's never a wrong question, just, steer or play a game with it, ask those 20 questions and just have fun with it and really dive deep to know that person, because there's really nothing off limits unless they tell you, I don't want to talk about that. Okay, moving on. And respect their space and respect what they have going on. Excuse me.
I love that. I love what you said, the playing the game and just respecting people's space, because for me, my truth is my truth, and you're not going to move me from that, no matter today, tomorrow, next week, 3 weeks from now, 5 months from now. It's my truth. And so being able to respect what I have to say, just like I'm going to respect what you have to say and my feelings behind that, so I'm learning that you might not always agree, but you have to give that person that space and honor what they're bringing to the table, because having conversations can be very difficult for some people. So being able to extend that grace to people, to be able to say, you know what, it's okay. I'm here to listen. And, what I'm learning is just to start off the conversation. You know what, this might be a difficult conversation for us. However, at the end of the day, we want to, walk away with something good, so, having those conversations and not being scared. And then I'll also say this before we move on, but just doing the work to see what it is behind the fact of why you don't like having conversations. And really, getting to the root of it. If it's a childhood hurt, if it's, I was in a mentally abusive relationship, so when I said this, he did this, or when she said that, I did this, so it's just being mindful of where you're at, to understand that's where you are at, that's your past, and you have the fuel to move forward, but it's a decision, and there's power within your decision. So we can talk about that all day. So we have some amazing guests that are getting ready to come to the platform, but first we have Latasha Duckworth. I'm getting ready to bring her in to the platform. This woman's a mother, she's a wife, she's an entrepreneur, and she is doing some dope things in her space, and we are so honored to have her on this platform for one of our segments that we used to do all the time, and we're bringing it back with her, and it is our I Am Woman segment. So, Latasha, welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you.
Hey,
Hey,
Tasha.
Grand Rising.
Yes, thank you for being here on the platform with us. We know there's tons of things you can be doing on a Saturday morning, and you're here with us, so we're excited. So, who are you, girl? Why should we know who you are? What are you doing in the world to bring change? Because we know you bring change.
What am I doing in the world to bring change is being who I was made to be.
Amen.
Finding out my true purpose and embracing that and being okay with that. Because I've struggled with that really basically my whole life. It's just I'm going to use what God put in me to bring change to the world. So I want to be the change I want to see.
Amen. I love it. I say that all the time. And you have the power to do that because he lives and rests in us. So don't make me preach now. So what is it that you're doing within your business?
I make, I do wreaths. I do funeral arrangements, corsages, parties, those types of things. Like handmade decor is mostly what I do with my wreaths. I have some new things that I'm going to add to it. I haven't done that yet, but I started Nicole's Designs. It was on my bio that it was birthed out of pain. So it's this. It's a real testimony behind this. It's not something that I'm just doing. It's really something that God, an area that God pushed me in. I doubted it at first, but I just went forth because I believed in what He put in me. So I've been rocking and rolling ever since 2016. I became ill. Aisha went to USM together. I got my social work degree and I thought I was ready for the world, but God had other plans. So I just took off with what God was saying. And I really, really had to walk by faith and not by sight. You know, we say that stuff all the time, but when you being tested on that, it's like it's a whole nother level to it.
Right.
So, and I doubted many days because I was pushed out the workforce. I have 3 children. Like, how am I going to take care of my kids? You know, things like that. And but I never doubted what God was saying. I kept on listening to what He was telling me. Even in my moments of doubt, I had to go back. I wrote it down. I had to go back and look at it again and say, this is what He said, or read the scriptures that He put in my spirit to sustain me for that moment. You know, because I'm still human. I have my weak moments, but I know that this is going to turn into something really big, and I can't wait to see it. The other day, my daughter, she is getting ready to start hers. So that's what it's all about to me, to be an inspiration, encouragement to others. You know, it's not anything personal for me, like I want to make money or anything like that. It's just that I want to be a person that people can look at and say, hey, God is real. Like if He did it for her, He can do it for me. So that's my main objective, to be a blessing to others. Like, it's not about Tasha. At the end of the day, it's about, how can I help my brother? How can I help my sister to come into the light? Like somebody helped me come into the light.
And that's amazing, because when you're rooted and grounded in the fact of knowing that you're doing this for something that's way bigger than yourself, you know, God honors that. And the fact is that, you know, you said something that was really key, and I can definitely agree with you. And I'm sure there's so many other listeners, watchers, viewers that are can agree with this. You said it was birthed out of pain. And a lot of times what we are called to do is birth out of some type of pain. And you're literally able to shift that into your purpose because you understand the pain that came out of it, and you don't want others to go through that same pain.
Right.
So you're sitting here and you're like, okay, now that I'm okay with the pain that I've gone through, all right, show me, you know, what else I'm supposed to do to build this business, build this non-for-profit, you know, whatever it is that you're called to do. And so, you know, I really, truly think what you're doing is amazing. And,
Thank you.
The fact that you have passion behind it. It's not just something that you just do because you want money, you know, and a lot of people, entrepreneurs, are in the space of being an entrepreneur for the wrong reasons. I don't want a 9-to-5 because I don't want somebody to have control over me. And, you know, when you operate out of that, your passion will not sustain itself. There's no passion there to begin with. Your passion is money. And so when you are really operating on, what you're created to do and who you are, man, the sky's the limit.
Awesome. It's awesome to see how God works in the midst of those type of situations. I mean, I've had people copy me and all this type of stuff, but again, it was way deeper than just making stuff to me. It was about because I don't just make wreaths. I pray while I'm making wreaths. I ask God to guide my eyes, move my hands. Like, I want everything in my life to give God glory. I don't care if it is my hands. I just want to be not a perfect person, or because we'll always have flaws, right? Which allows us to know that that's the reason why God stands alone. And I'll forever need God because I know that I'm a flawed individual, or a human being, rather, is the more proper word to use. So the more I know that I need God, the more I know I got to keep trusting in God, or having that faith and not letting go of it. And sometimes it's really hard. It's really, really hard because, like I said, it was just a Friday night, and I was just me and my family we were at the my son's football game, high school, and I left the football game, and I just fell sick. I've been ill ever since, but I never stopped. I haven't stopped. Right. I can't stop because, like I was telling my brother last night, he was talking about a business and all of that. So now I can use what God has given me to show my brother, hey, Luke, we come from the same place. If it happened for me, it can also happen for you. So don't doubt what God can do, because he can do anything but fail, Right. So that's kind of what it is for me.
That's huge.
And people don't understand your pain definitely does have a purpose. God puts us in certain positions in order to birth out what it is that he's put in us. Right. Because we all have internal gifts that, we let lay dormant and we don't utilize. But it's certain things that happen, to kind of push it out. It's just like if you think of a woman having a baby, it hurts. Takara, I know you don't know, but it hurts.
You don't know yet.
So we'll never know.
That's a different type of pain, but we had to go through that in order to bring that child into this world. So the things that we go through is to kind of birth out, what it is that he's put inside us, and that's definitely going to bless someone else. The things that I have been through, I've met someone else who had a similar story. So I was able to speak to them and encourage them from a place where I had just come out of. And I know I didn't go through it just to be going through it. It's for someone else. And it's definitely to push you into a place to really spread your gifts, because God didn't give them to us just for us to keep them to ourselves. Like it's for other people. So Tasha, what you've been through, and I know you've been through a lot, your pain has a purpose, and God has definitely blessed you in your business. And I'm glad to have met you when we were in college, because you were the one connection that I had out of our entire cohort. So, and we've sustained that friendship over the years. And I know it is because of that, because you encouraged me and I've encouraged you. So I just want to say that I'm proud of you and everything that you have done. So.
Okay, I'm a waterhead, right? I mean, when I was thinking about it, and I was talking to God about, this segment coming on here, I was thinking about how it was a divine connection. Like, there's a reason why some people stay in your life. So, you have, like, you've always held me accountable. So that, whether you knew it or not, that kept me going. So it's like, okay, God, thank you for the divine connection, because I never knew we would be connected like this, even years later. So God is good all the time. Yeah. And it's not a cliche for me. It's I live and breathe that, right?
Right. Your business was birthed through pain. So you build wreaths. What all do you do? Can you share?
I do wreaths, parties, funeral arrangements.
Wow.
Corsages, like they do for prom.
That's skill right there.
Anything I put my mind to, again, I ask God to let my hands give him glory. So if I sit down and think about it and I tell God, if this is what you want me to do, show me how to do it, it's going to happen. Every time. It never fails. So I'm getting excited about what these hands doing this, because again, it's not about the money or anything like that to me, because I'm so filled with joy when people see what they've ordered from me and they're like, wow. Their reaction is totally different from just buying a wreath. It's like God saying, you did exactly what I told you to do, and look how, I know y'all understand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to sound like a crazy person. It's like God saying, you did exactly what I told you to do. You let me guide your hands. Now look. So people are blessed by that. And then if you put a Nicole wreath on your door, your whole house gonna be blessed. Whatever is in there is coming out.
Right.
I'm gonna get my address. Oh yeah,
I'm praying while I'm making wreaths and saying, God, I don't know these people, but if they need you in any type of way, I want you to work through this wreath.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy, but again, love is put into what I do, and we know God is love, so that's what I mean. And when I say birth out of pain, I mean like God has been preparing me for this he's been molding me and making me for this for a very long time. I would say my whole life, basically, because I mean, if I should know my story. It's crazy how I went through all of those things, and I had my season where I hated certain people that for doing what they did to me. But I look at it now and I don't take it personal, because everything I've been through, it turned into something else that gave that in the end gave God glory. So it wasn't about me in the beginning, because God knew what he put in me.
Yeah.
I had to figure out what he put in me, and he was my strength in my weakness.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
It's
pain, but he got me.
Amen. Amen. Well, we want to just thank you for having, the boldness to come and share your story, because sometimes it can be a difficult thing to really be vulnerable to share what you've gone through. And I definitely know that somebody watching this is definitely empowered. The fact that, trying to figure out, even who they are, and understanding that they may be in a painful place, but wow, the potential that it can birth something full of purpose. Okay, let me press through,
Right.
Let me focus. Let me not give up. Let me seek his face. Let me see what this is all about. Because when I come out of this, now that you even listening to your story, they're empowered, because a lot of times we don't talk about that. We don't talk. Everybody just sees, okay, we had this amazing moment and then now we're even better, but no one sees the in between, nor does anybody want to talk about what working the middle really looks like to birth this business, this plan, to even rebirth yourself in a way that rediscover who you are as a person now that you're on the other side of that pain and that trauma and all that. So we appreciate you coming to this platform, because there's a lot of things like we said, you can be making a wreath right now to bless somebody's house.
When I get off, I'll be making a wreath, but God had another assignment for me this morning.
Yes.
So
yeah. So we're excited. So if anybody desires to reach out to Latasha, this is her email address, and I'm sure you ship all over the world. So we're really thankful to have had you on this platform. Yes. Well, look. You gave us a word, so now you're gonna receive something. So that's what we do on this platform. So
I love it.
That's who you are, and we're excited because somebody's watching this. We never know how people really get in contact with us. So the whole way of communication is really powerful, especially now that technology is even heightened through a whole nother level, especially through COVID. But that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But we thank you for taking the time to come and visit with us. So
my pleasure. Yeah. My pleasure. And I again, I thank God for the divine connection between me and Aisha. Because again, you never know how God is going to use you. And I was really dumbfounded when she asked me, because I'm just like, Okay, I'm saying, God, go and talk live in front of everybody because I'm really not this type of person. But to piggyback off of what you said about well, I'm just gonna say I told my daughter I said we host up in our mind, we're thinking it and we just harbor it in our mind. And I told her, I said, some things we have to let go because as long as it's in your mind, the devil can play with it. But once you release it into the atmosphere, it's nothing he can do. I'm saying like that doesn't mean that things are not gonna come against you. But now you put it out of your mouth. You spoken those words. So you have to go after what you're trying to achieve. But you have to keep God first.
Yeah.
And my story, I've written a book. I haven't gotten it published yet. It's called Love Lifted Me. The story behind the glory, because people see me, oh, she cute, she this, she that. You have no idea what it costs God to get me here. Because I won't say it cost me. He had to do the work. I just had to be willing to let him do the work.
Okay, now you preaching. See,
I'm not a preacher. Everybody don't lie. I'm not a preacher. It's not my calling.
Look, you never know. Sure.
Look, I am a motivational speaker, though. I will come anywhere y'all need somebody to talk and to lift y'all up. Hey, I have a public figure page. Y'all go look me up.
Okay, come on, public figures. See that? You better rep yourself on this platform. That's exactly
to be somebody really great. I'm changing my family whole background again because all the knowledge that I have, I share it with my family because I believe in God that much. It don't look like what I think it should look like right now. His time is not my time, and so I'm just waiting. I'm like, okay, God, even though they're getting on my nerves. So
that's indeed part of the process, Now that's a show all by itself, like that part.
Yeah. Right, my public figure page on Facebook is Latasha Nicole. I post like encouraging things and all of that type of stuff on there. I got to get into doing it more. I've been kind of procrastinating a little bit, but guys, like, okay. Yep. What are you waiting on? So, and this right here, believe it or not, let me confirm that I really need to get back in motion. So, yeah. Absolutely. Thank y'all so much for having me.
Have a great day.
Thank
you too. Bye-bye.
Bye, love. Wow. So just like that, we getting ready to move into our next segment. The guests are behind the scenes. They are waiting. They're like, bring me up, coach. Put me
in the game.
Put me in the game. Let's get it. I'm seeing them like, yeah. Oh, that was good. Oh, yeah. Because they don't know. And I can see all that on my end. Yep, boom. I'm putting you out here. So for no further ado, I'm really excited personally to have these women in my life on two different occasions. One is Dr. Ruby Powell. Thank you for being here. And Onyx is in the building. Thank you so much, ladies. So here we go. Just talking about something that's really passionate to all of us, because in our own right, in everything that we do, we're out here as public figures in some shape or way, whether it's Instagram, Facebook. Onyx is out here all over on everybody's platform. I'll let her introduce who she is. Dr. Ruby Powell, we met over a stapler. That in itself is a story in itself.
Yes, it is.
But thank you, ladies, for being here. So, Dr. Ruby Powell, just share, with the people who you are. Welcome back, because it's not your first time on the platform. It may be your first time on the virtual experience, but we know you from the radio show. So, thank you for being here.
Well, you know what? I am so excited to be back. Hey, Isha.
Hey.
I'm so excited to be back on the platform. And of course, it's wonderful that we're talking about bridging the communication gap between generations, because I am a baby boomer. And so this whole StreamYard and all of this was real new to me. About it at first, but I am Dr. Ruby Powell. I am a number of things. I'm a motivational speaker. I am a trainer. I am a published author, and working on my third book. I am, yay! I'm a number of different things. I'm a contractor, and so, like I said, I'm a public speaker, motivational speaker. That's a little bit of who I am. I also run a nonprofit organization called Oasis Empowerment Zone, which is an organization that started out by empowering single mothers. But we have expanded our brand to work with women of color of all types. And so we're helping to bridge the economic gap, the helping our younger women or our women of color to build generational wealth and a legacy for their children.
Wow. That's so awesome.
That's good.
Onyx, who are you, love? I know, but maybe others don't know who you are.
Hey, everybody. I am Onyx, and I do a multitude of different things. I am an activist. I'm an advocate. I'm an actress, both stage and film. I have a book coming out. I am also a speaker. I speak motivationally, inspirationally, and also on political things. I work with a bunch of different organizations, everything from the Philando Castile organization to being the vice president of the NAACP. So you name it, I'm kind of involved in it, as long as it's going to be something empowering, I can't even say the word, uplifting, and moving the conversation and the culture forward.
I love it. So let's rep our generation, just so we can share how many generations are indeed on the platform. From my view, it looks like the top row of us are millennials. Is that y'all?
Pretty much, because I'm not a millennial.
Onyx,
I have millennials in my household, but I am not a millennial.
I'm a Gen Xer.
You're a Gen Xer. And then Dr. Ruby, you're
I'm at the tail end of the baby boom.
Yeah. So one of the reasons of why we wanted to have this conversation is because there's definitely indeed a gap, and we definitely know that. So, let's talk about ways to first acknowledge that there's a gap, because some people may not even realize that there's a major gap between just one generation to the other. We have 3 different generations on this platform. And so being able to share ways of how to really bridge the gap and come together as one, because we can literally, all learn from one another.
Yeah.
So, I think one of the big things that we can start with is what is one of the reasons why people don't want, or women don't want to work with different generations? Let's start there.
Well, I guess I'll start. I think one of the reasons why women don't want to work with other generations is because of that communication gap. And one of the things that I've learned as a person who I've done economic development, I've done workforce development, and I've worked with, most recently last year, I worked with 16 to 24-year-olds. And I have found that their communication style is so vastly different from ours. Now, I have the privilege of having a couple of other generations in my house. As I already mentioned, I have a millennial, and then I have 3 teenagers in my house. So I kind of keep up with things, even though I'm a baby boomer, because I got to keep these kids on point, right?
Yeah.
When I think about old people on the other end of the baby boom, which starts like right around 1946, their communication style is so different. They're still into picking up a phone and making a phone call. They're still into writing letters, writing checks. Some of the older people that I know would never dream of paying a bill online, except for my dad, who's almost 84 years old. He has actually beat me in doing some of the electronics. It's a little bit different when you begin to talk about just the styles of communication. And I was listening to you guys earlier talking about the whole idea of text messaging and that versus having a conversation. That text message takes the whole human emotion out of the conversation. I can text you, the sky is blue. And it says the sky is blue, but you can't feel what the sky being blue really does for me.
Wow.
Right.
If I'm looking at the sky is blue and I've been having a down day, but that blue sky really uplifts me and motivate me.
Wow.
Just listen, the sky is blue tells you absolutely nothing about where I am emotionally at that point.
Yes.
And I know that it went a little bit different from the original question, but I think that's one of the reasons why women don't want to work with others in different generations, because they don't understand their language. It's almost like talking to someone, and I think Liz mentioned it, talking a foreign language. It's almost like talking to somebody that speaks Greek. Never heard that language before. You don't understand it.
Wow.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I'd like to add that comfort zones.
Yes.
I think that is the huge reason as to why women don't like to work with other women, because that's one of the big reasons, like the elephant always that's in the room. And then on top of that, there's the comfort zone of staying within your own circle, of staying within your own generation, because you don't have to grow. And if you don't have to grow, then you can just be comfortable and you can be the big fish in a little pond, and you don't get to expand and you don't get to do the things that you really say that you're about. Because when you agree to be a public figure and when you step out into that limelight, you need to be able to walk it like you talk it. But if I don't engage with younger generations, then they don't really know. All they can just look at my platform, and I'll never really make the connection. But a lot of times we and other people, men too, we just won't get out of our comfort zone. We don't want to learn how to do a TikTok. We don't want to really interact on Instagram. I don't want to text because I'd rather have a phone conversation. And texting does so many things, like the doctor was saying with the emotion, is it either takes it out or it puts it in. Because I've gotten a text and I've been like, what they mean by this? But, hold up. Why is it in all caps? You know what I mean? So it's so much, and you have to then be willing to pick up the phone. But I think it's a whole comfort zone situation. We just don't want to learn or grow.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's good.
definitely.
That is so
And I like what Dr. Ruby said as well, with the taking the emotion out, because it just leaves it up in the air.
Yeah.
Like, I have to guess where you're coming from with what you said, and I could definitely take it far left, and you didn't even mean it the way that I took it. So yeah, that's definitely a part of it. But with with the different generations, as far as communications, like Onyx said, we get stuck in our ways. And it's just like, when we're used to, I know millennials, we bring in something different that, the older generation don't really understand. And if you don't understand it, you don't appreciate it, and they don't try to understand it. And I, like you said, any public figures, but if you're in leadership in any capacity, you have to know how to communicate. And I've been under certain people's older generations leadership to where they were just stuck. And that makes static, and it makes friction, and it makes it hard for things to get done, because you refuse to, thoroughly and effectively say what it is that you want to say.
Right.
Or, just communicate in ways that you're comfortable with and that you're used to, and expect us to kind of decode what it is that you're trying to say or want us to do or understand. So it's just like, if we come to a mutual understanding and respect for each other's generation, and then we can just move forward.
I
agree.
really so good. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think too that we have to recognize that the do as I say, not as I do generation is gone. Like, no one's going to listen to that anymore. Everyone has information. We can look it up. Everyone can double check everything that you can say. And I think sometimes that's a fear. When leaders have been able to mislead the flock, and I mean, I'm not just talking about church, I'm talking about whatever, when they've been able to mislead for decades because we weren't able to fact check. Now we can fact check. And if you got a whole bunch of Gen Xers and millennials in the room, we're gonna fact check. And it kind of does something a little different to your leadership or leadership style. And people get intimidated by the fact that people are now, in this day and era, are going to challenge you.
Yeah,
and they don't
the
want
ego
to be
thing
challenged
as well.
Yeah.
And It definitely does something to the ego if you're
Yeah.
so set in your ways and somebody challenges you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in a different
Ask me
capacity.
how I
And it's
know.
just like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
you know what, and that's so true. I was just thinking about a book that I read many years ago, and it was by Jack Welch, who was the CEO of GE. And one of the things that Jack Welch was really famous for, in addition to creating this whole empire with General Electric, he was famous for mentoring. And
Yeah.
he had what he called the reverse mentoring style. And so he would always connect younger folks with older folks in his company so that they can transfer the wealth of information. So the
Yeah.
old folks can teach them how the old folks do it. The young
Right.
folks can teach them how the young folks do it. And I have actually incorporated that into my mentoring style, because not just my own personal mentoring style, but the mentoring, the part of my organization that does mentoring. Because it's vitally important that if we're going to be sustainable and communicate in this world, we have to be able to, or not just communicate, but survive in this world. We have to be able to communicate across generations.
Right.
So important. And as Isha was saying, you know, we don't always want to work for older people because they're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not able to get them from that point of being stuck to let's talk about this. I was thinking also about how many times do we get a text message and we don't understand it. I've
Right.
got a dear sister friend of mine who always types in capital letters, whether she's texting, whether she's Facebooking, regardless of what she's doing. And it took me a while to figure out, why is she yelling? Well, she's not yelling. That's the way she does things. But it was my responsibility to pick up a phone and call her and say, hey, what's on your mind? What are you feeling? Instead of getting in my feeling and saying, you know, she's saying something that's not so cool.
Right.
I needed to pick up the phone so that I could hear her emotion, so that I could hear what she was saying. And I came to realize that she wasn't angry. She wasn't shouting. She just types in all caps.
Right.
So it's our responsibility to get that understanding.
Yeah, those of us that came from worlds where we had to send emails and they said that's some proper email etiquette, we kind of carried it over to texting. So then someone texts us that we're like, hold up. I didn't know it was a problem.
Yeah, that's true. And, you know, that's one of the things that I try to get across to the teenagers that I was working with in workforce development. You know, I took them through a whole exercise and I had them to brainstorm every type of communication style. I mean, and sometimes we went all the way back to smoke signals and SOS and tried to make it relevant. Why were these things relevant then and they're not relevant now? And the whole idea behind the conversation was, you have to recognize that if you're working with someone who's a baby boomer who may not have come into the 21st century in terms of communication, you have to be clear about how they like to communicate.
That's true.
We fail a lot of times because we don't take the time to find out how people like to be communicated with. My 84-year-old dad is as cool with getting a text from me as he is from me picking up the phone and calling him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much so with even people that may have been born sometime in the 50s and 40s.
That's good.
Yeah.
How about those people who actually just refuse to pick up the phone call though?
Yes.
You mean that they just only want to text?
Refuse to pick up the call, like refuse to pick up the phone and say, hey, they quick to text you back though, but they refuse to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
For me, it's just going to depend on my level of interest and what type of relationship or business that we have. Because honestly, I'm probably not going to even engage, because if we're doing business together, I'm going to need you to answer your phone.
Right.
And if I'm important to you in another aspect of relationship, I'm going to text you, but sometimes I need to hear your voice. So I'm going to need you to respect my resolve as much as you want me to respect yours. And I think that is something that that is often missed when we do intergenerational things. Like, we want them to respect how we handle business and our resolve and the way that we move, but we're not willing to make the adjustment to meet them halfway or engage. So if they're not willing to make any adjustment or try, now I understand, like my grandmother is 97 and she on Facebook. So, I mean, I half the time I don't know what she posting because I'd be like, Grandma, what's going on? But that's neither here nor there. But she was willing to try, and she's willing to get out there and at least do it a little bit. So if someone isn't willing to meet you halfway, I think that that's a bigger red flag than just communication. That might just be somebody that you don't want to do business with in the first place, because that's something more deep-seated than I don't understand a text or a phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so very true, because my daughter, who was also a business owner, I get on her all the time. I say, how do you run a business and you don't check voicemails?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that myself.
Is that a millennial thing?
Yes.
You just don't
No.
voicemail?
I do that too.
I'm one of those that seek to understand, because I tell her, I said, you know what? You're a business owner. If people are calling you and you're not available at that moment, the business thing to do is to leave a voicemail.
Yes.
Yeah.
That way you can return the call and you can transact business. But if you're not checking voicemails, well, Mom, they can text me. Sweetie, everybody don't text.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
I know I need to be delivered from voicemail response thing, because I hate it. And my mom freaks out when my voicemail's full. I'm like, just text me.
Yeah.
I can see when you call. I mean, and I get, people, like you said, doctor, like, okay, I get it, random people. But I'm like, Mom, you got my number.
Yeah.
Hey, call me back. Okay, like, I'm not gonna call you back. You wasting my space. I only got so much to hold the voicemail. Like, why are we doing this? But
yeah, I'm guilty too. I would say the getting and incorporate into the whole texting thing because of my kids kind of pulled me away from voice messages. But I do have a business line, and I make sure that I read my voicemails at a certain time of the day, because I don't really be wanting to deal with the phone myself, but I'll read them. I'm like, is this somebody I need to call back? Oh, no, I don't. Good. Thank you for text.
Yeah.
Text, whatever it's called, voice to text or whatever it is.
Voice to text. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Now they put the voicemail in text message form.
Yeah.
So they understand that, that kind of voicemail thing is a thing of the past, because it's not cool, because we used to put music on the answering machine, and, that type of thing. And it's not that time anymore. So leaving... right.
Oh my God.
So the voicemail thing is not really in, but like Miss Ruby was saying, like it is a certain business
it's a
etiquette to where it's necessary. Yes, that's definitely necessary in some capacity. But on a day-to-day, like, I'm not checking my voicemails.
Me either. That's why people got to check me on that. They be like, I left you a voicemail. I'd be like, oh. Let me go read. I know I'm talking to you, but let me go listen to it real quick.
Right. Those are things that us as baby boomers and beyond need to understand. Because if we know that you are not going to check a voicemail, then maybe we need to learn to not leave you a voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
You have a certain expectation of a response. And if you don't respond, then that sends us, the baby and beyond, that sends us an indication that you're not interested in transacting business with us.
Wow.
Right.
If I don't respond, or if I don't hear back from you, if you don't answer your phone and you don't check voice messages, then how do you know that I'm interested in transacting business with
That is so true.
Yeah.
It's just a number on the phone, and you just don't know who that is. And if they didn't leave any kind of information behind, then how will you know? You're right, Doctor.
Yeah. And you know what? I think a lot of modern technology have caused us to really be more busy than we really need to. We have taken all of the self-care out of business, because we have all of these different ways of communicating. We're always accessible, because how many of you all leave home and think that you forgot your cell phone and will turn all the way around and go all the way back home?
I don't care where I'm at, I'm going to get it.
I used to. I don't do it now.
I have to admit, I will. And I used to use the excuse, well, I have small children. I have, yeah. But then I had to have a come to Jesus meeting with myself and say, you know what? It ain't just because you have small children at home, because all of your children have cell phones.
Yeah.
They know how to contact each other. They know how to contact my husband. You know, I have to realize that my cell phone is my lifeline. If I lose my cell phone, if I lose my my Bible, I have everything on here. I have my Bible on here. I have all of my emails on here. I have all of my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of the Snapchat. I have all my social media platforms on here. And if I don't have it, then that means I'm inaccessible.
And that, I think that that's an excellent point, because I think with all of this with all of this technology, we are super busy, but we aren't as productive as we were.
That is my
so we're busy, but we're not necessarily productive because we're busy all day.
Because we're busy.
And that is something that I had to learn, and why I had to go to start scheduling everything, because now if it's not on my schedule, it's just not going to happen. So if you don't think enough of yourself to set aside time so that we can get this done, then it's just not going to happen. Because and I've done things. I've had to do things like set a timer on my phone to shut my phone down at 10 o'clock so that I'm not on social media all night, and so that I'm not engaged, and that I can actually start de-stressing and giving myself some self-care. And that is one thing that I can really thank this pandemic for, because I was on social media like 36 hours a day, and it's only 24 because I was in the house. Wow. I was just doing stuff. Wow. And I mean, I was doing things with my businesses and things as well, but it was meetings that I really had gotten pushed back, and events. So I found myself with this time on my hand, and I was just like, okay, well, let's just get on social media. And I was busy. Won't necessarily productive though.
Exactly. And social media, it's almost like an addictive drug.
It is.
I know there's times when I'll get up in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, go to the restroom. And before I fall back to sleep, I'm scrolling Facebook. And so now I'm up for 2 hours, 3 hours, and now it's time to get up and go to work.
They are mad.
And I'm tired. I don't want to take a nap.
Yeah.
Facebook for the last 3 hours.
Right. Anybody else unlock their
Look, and that time goes by so fast. You look up and you're like, what? I mean, and my new thing, don't judge. My new thing is TikTok.
Yes, that's my thing.
Yeah, I know. You good at it. I need some lessons. But I love watching the stuff that people put on TikTok. Like when I can't sleep, I'm scrolling TikTok.
Yeah.
And if you scroll TikTok too much, it'll be like, hey, you've been on here for a while. It'll tell you. And I'm like,
I ain't never been up there that long.
My kids are trying so hard to get me on TikTok. And let me tell you.
I'm up there, y'all. Follow me. I am Onyx. Y'all can just come look. I am Onyx on TikTok. But I got to ask y'all this. Who else has unlocked their phone to do something? Like I might have unlocked it to call somebody, and I hit the social media app, and I'm like, I didn't even unlock it for this. I'm right on Facebook. I'm right on TikTok. And I'm like, oh, man, this ain't even what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay.
That's just like muscle memory. That stuff is on autopilot. Like we go there automatically. And don't let a notification be on there. We got to check it.
Got
to click on it.
Yeah.
Don't let it be a notification about a post that got some drama on it, because I'm like, they crazy. Why I read all 7,000 comments.
Look,
crazy.
We ain't alone. Tracy Brown Howard's like, girl, me. It's real. You know what I love about my iPhone, and I'm starting to use it more. I need to really utilize it. This function we're ready to talk about. At every Sunday, it tells me how much screen time that I use this week, and I'm like, OMG, I spent that much time on social media. Then when I look at the productivity bar, it's like EDT.
Yeah. Suck you right in.
Right.
That's actually one of the best functions that iPhone ever created. It really is, because it's, it helps us to gauge our productivity. Like you said, we're very busy, but are we busy being productive, or are we just being busy?
Right.
We're busy being busy. And so when I look at it, my goal every week is when I look at that screen time, is to see if it's down from the week before.
Yes. Yes. And I get mad when it's not.
I do too. But now that we're talking about it, now my new goal is to try to get that productivity bar a little bit longer, and not the social media bar.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Within that, do you use what's called downtime? I've been using that. I it's literally, I guess it's supposed to be for kids, and limit them, like they can't get back into it. Like you can set a passcode where they can't get in unless they know the password. But I literally use it for myself, and I schedule timing for like, so if I know today I need to get something done, then I'm blocked out of my phone. Other than like the basics, like the phone and like the alarm clock and things like little things I can't really go on social media with. But it's really me from everything else. I do put a passcode on there, and I have it set for a time schedule where it's like, from 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. until 7 a.m. There's no reason why I should be looking at my phone.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then on top of that, I leave it on the other side of the room, meaning I have to literally get out of my bed in order to get to it.
Oh yeah.
So this is little things that you could be doing in order to make sure that you don't look at your phone like that.
Yeah, that's true. I do that. I mean, it's not called downtime, but it's a feature on the iPhone that it doesn't lock it, but it lets me know, hey, you need to be going to bed or you need to be shut down. And it comes on every night at 10 o'clock. And anyone that calls me, it automatically goes to voicemail. I don't see my alerts or any of those type of things. But I thought you was talking about all day. Queen, I said,
oh no.
I started getting anxiety. I was like, first of all, I started itching, like, I don't know if I can do that all day.
Yeah,
that's true. That's so true.
This is a healthy conversation, so I really want to see what can we take away from this conversation. So what would we recommend to somebody who may be struggling to embrace the greatness that comes with each generation, across the board, with just even embracing women who are coming from different generations? What's one of the takeaways, or what's one of the things that we can encourage them to do so they actually help them to step outside of their own box?
Well, one of the things that I would encourage them to do is to seek to understand first before trying to be understood. Because we spend so much time trying to convince people that our way is the right way. And we spend less time trying to understand the other person's way. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be understood. But we have to seek to understand others first and then move on to understanding them. And that's what keeps the communication healthy. That's what keeps the conversation healthy, because now we have a level playing field. We have a mutual understanding that I'm interested in what's important to you, but I also want you to be interested in what's important to me.
Right. I love that. I love that.
I would add, do it scared. Because when you really think about it, we use all sorts of reasons on why we don't communicate. They're disrespectful, they're this, but the underlying reason is that we're really scared to get out there and do it and to have these conversations and to engage, but do it scared. And there was this, what generation are like 20-year-olds, like 22? Are they there? Because they're not millennials, they're not millennials.
No, they're
something else.
Z, I think
Okay.
Gen Zers or something like that.
Yeah.
So I ain't gotten invited to an event by Generation Z, or I didn't know that they followed me on social media. And I kind of was like, wait a minute. I looked at it, I was like, he's like 22. I didn't really know it was his event. And I went to the event. And so I get there and it was like some other younger kids there, and they were just like, oh my God, you came, and they were really excited. But within that meeting, there were multiple generations. And what he was doing was he was actually teaching them how to engage on social media and how to, do the things that we're talking about right now. And you would not believe the resistance that this young man had gotten in the room. They were very, very just, and I ended up pretty much being the mediator. And from that, I ended up getting other gigs, some new gigs and things like that, because there were other 20-year-olds and millennials there that were very appreciative of the fact that even though I am a Gen Xer, that I was able to understand and listen and receive their perspective and kind of say, wait a minute, you guys aren't listening to what they're saying. We're all saying the same thing. You just want to write a letter. You want to do a text. You want to post on Instagram. I need everybody to just kind of take a step back and get out of your preconceived notions of what each generation is like. Because we walk in to a 20-year-old, we already think this is who they are. We go to a millennial, we think that people think I'm a millennial all the time, but I'm not. But they have this preconceived notion about what it is, and it's all wrapped and based on fear of just getting outside of your comfort zone. So just do it scared, and you'd be surprised at what the outcome is going to be. And that's my motto for pretty much everything, because I'd be scared to death. People don't think I'd be, but I'd be scared to death. I'd be just out there doing it.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's good.
That's excellent. That's empowering too. You know,
Yeah, I think
we
one
really do it scared, but I don't think we really delve into what it means to do it scared. I'm actually in the process of doing a lot of things scared.
Ooh.
Right before we came, right before I came on screen, I was just making a list of things in my phone of stuff that I needed to follow up on. I need to follow up on StreamYard. I need to know how to use it. I need to know how to bring my Zoom calls into a Facebook Live.
Me
I
too.
need to know how to use some of the newer investment strategies to build generational wealth. I need to invest in all of these things. These are investments I need to make in myself so that I can teach other generations to build generational wealth. So that's my platform. That's what I do.
And that's very important, because saying that we need to really talk about what it means to do it scared a little more. And I think, because I used to self-sabotage a lot, but I didn't recognize that that's what I was doing. I was thinking that I was protecting myself, but I was self-sabotaging because I was scared. I have to battle my own mind because you get scared because everyone else, especially when you're doing something no one else has done around you, because everyone's telling you it's not successful. So now you're battling the naysayers. Now you're battling your own mind. You get up in the morning and you don't know if you can do it, but you know that this is your dream. So you just got to do it anyway. And I equate a lot of things to football, like the running back. Sometimes they run out of bounds because the goal is to get in the end zone. So on this play, I might need to run out of bounds, but on this play, I might end up taking a hit. But at the end of the day, I'm going to get into the end zone. So you have to determine what your strategy is and stick to it. But it's scary. And if anyone says that it's not scary, because people lie about this entrepreneurial thing all the time. They make you think that you wake up and you got it, baby. I've been doing it for 3 years and I'm still getting it. And I'm still scared. And I'm still learning new things. And I'm still meeting new people. And sometimes I'm petrified. Sometimes I don't even know what the next word out of my mouth is going to be. I'm on a stage looking at people and I don't even remember what I'm supposed to be saying. Scared to death. But you have to, and it's hard. And people act like it's not hard. Doing it scared is one of the hardest things you'll ever do, because you are literally battling your own self-doubt in your own mind the entire time. And it's a tightrope with no net. That's what it feels like to me. Wow. Feels like I'm on a tightrope, and I don't even have the bar sometimes. I'm just like holding my hand like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to go. So that's what doing it scared feels like to me.
And you know what, Onyx, that is golden, because self-sabotage is real. When you get to that point of being at the point of success, and then all of a sudden you take a step back.
Right.
It's like, wait, what are you doing? Why are you doing this?
Settling?
Just at the point of, and then you settle. Then
you gave me chills.
And a lot of times we don't have to wait for somebody else to sabotage our dreams. We beat them to it.
Wow.
We beat them to it. And so, yes, it is walking that tightrope without a net. But guess what? You have to do it. One of the, I am a risk taker, and people never understood how I take some of the risks that I take. But I walked away from my 6+ figure job 3 years ago.
Yes.
Any type of safety net. Now, I've been running my organization for 10 years. December 1st made 10 years that I've been running my organization. Never to the level that I'm getting ready to take it to now, because now I got to stop being scared.
Yes.
I keep telling myself, every day I tell myself, why have you been investing money, your own personal money, your family's money, your money from your family budget, into running an organization that should be sustaining itself? Because I've been scared.
Right.
No longer.
Yeah.
No longer. If I wasn't scared enough to walk away from that job without a safety net, $100,000+ in the bank, then I can't be scared to be successful on my organization.
That's so true, because I did the same thing. I was bold about it too. And then I started playing around and getting scared. And I think that this,
Wow.
this Takara, I think that this is an excellent just showing of why we should communicate across generations.
Yes.
I would have never been up here talking to the doctor if it wasn't for you. I mean, I may have, because, it might have been in the cards somewhere, but just understanding how we as women are so powerful and how we can encourage each other. Because we would literally be, because we should be each other's cheerleaders. Like when I get scared, I need y'all to be like, no, go, 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 go. You know what I mean? Because it's hard being your own cheerleader sometimes, and people don't talk about that. Yeah, you got to encourage yourself, but I mean, a lot of times when you're out here on this journey, it feels like you're alone because the people that you expected to support you don't. And then you start getting discouraged, and then the fear sets in, and now you have to decide if you're going to go forward, if you're going to turn around. Am I going to go back to this job that I walked away from so boldly, or am I going to keep moving? Are they the reasons that I even stepped out on this journey? No. So we have to ask our questions like that. Like, these people aren't even the reason I decided to do this. So the fact I had to get to the point that whether they support me or not, I'm going to press on and I'm going to move. When I get scared, I've learned that the more afraid that I am, it lets me know that I'm on the right path. Because it's usually it's my only internal stuff that I'm about to self-sabotage right now. My breakthrough is right here, and I'm about to self-sabotage and say, go back. No, not today. I don't do it no more. So now I lower my shoulder and be like, hey, about to go, it's end zone right now. This is where we gotta go. But that's what I had to just. So you know what, Onyx? Every time you get to this point, and that's how my self-awareness and just practicing self-love and loving me allowed me to not make excuses for myself and to not recognize me for who I am. Because when you self-sabotage, you start making excuses on why you can't do it and why you shouldn't do it and why you won't move and why you won't go. But the fact of the matter is, the truth of the matter is, I was just scared, and I started listening to, one of the things that I told myself is that when I was a little girl, I was fearless. And when I started getting scared on this journey, I asked myself, if the little girl in me that said she wanted to do all of these things saw how scared I was right now, what would she say? What would she say? What would she think? You know what I mean? I thought I was gonna grow up and be Linda Carter. What, the woman won't scared of nothing? What am I scared of now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have to really look at that and see where that fear comes from. Because I was thinking the exact same thing, and everything that you're saying is igniting something in all of us. Because I see how we're reacting and responding, and we don't realize how our journeys are so much alike until we speak on it. So I'm thinking like all these things that I used to do when I was younger, it's so hard for me to do it now. It's so hard for me to kind of put certain things out there. Like I used to record music and all this, just fearless. But now it's Takara. But now Takara knows like I struggle with even doing a live, so it's just like I have to go within to figure out like where has this fear come from, and I'm allowing it to overtake me now to where it's paralyzing me. But like you said, we do need those supporters and somebody in your ear saying you can do it, that type of thing. But as far as across the generations, the communications is set up for a certain time. We are in a certain generation for a reason. God has put in certain things in place in us, that's conducive for the time. So we can definitely learn something from the baby boomers, the Gen Xers, and vice versa. We all can learn and teach each other. And I think that's what we have to come to realize. Like we all have something to give to each other. So if everybody's giving, somebody has to be receiving something.
Right.
So it's an exchange of, that knowledge and, adapting to what's going on. Because even the generations after the millennials, we think but it's not, because technology is continuing to progress, and there's certain things that the younger kids can teach us that we don't necessarily understand. So I think if we come to an understanding that it's just an exchange of, okay, this is what we've been programmed, God put us in this time to operate this way, but it can transfer to everybody throughout the time. We put it in different places. Things are conducive for different things in different times for different reasons. And if we just understand that, we all have a certain amount of knowledge, but we all have to still continue to learn.
Right.
and share, no matter the age, no matter the generation. You know, we just have to be, I think one of the audience members said, be open. So we have to really be open enough to kind of receive as well as give, because we don't know everything. We think we do, but we don't.
Yeah.
So it's just like we have to be open enough to learn and grow from other people. And I think that's when things will move along more smoothly. And then we can participate in the things like TikTok. Cause I don't have a TikTok, and I just, you know, I haven't taken the time out to learn it. Like I just, you know, I haven't, but my son does, and he knows everything about it. So it's just like, he could probably teach me, you know, how to use it. So it's just like being open and understanding that, you know, there are different ways. Like people say, it's more than one way to skin a cat. So, you know, it's different ways to do things, and we just have to be open and adaptable to learn and grow.
Yeah.
And
you know, I want to go back to something that Onyx mentioned earlier. One of the most valuable lessons that I ever received in doing it scared was remembering that the people that you're doing it for are not the people that's already in your circle.
Right.
And is we depend on the people that we know to always support us. And yes, they will show up for our events, they will come, but it's not necessarily that the things that we're doing are something that's going to add value to their life.
Right. For them,
reach beyond our immediate circle of influence. And that's why it's so important that we do these types of radio shows and video shows, so that we can reach beyond our immediate circle. Because we have something that one of you all need. You all have something that I need. And so it's called broadening your circle of influence.
Right.
And so as a way of encouragement, when you get scared and when you say, oh, my sister girl or my sister friend or my cousin didn't show up for my event or for my live or didn't comment, you have to remember, yes, block for you, but they're not your audience.
Right.
Right.
Who are you doing it for?
Right.
They're always your audience.
Right.
Now, that's a whole nother line.
That is. Because you know, I was over here like rubs hands like birds. That's good. That was good.
It's real, you know, and I'm thankful. You know, I know that God literally places people in my heart and in my mind for conversations like this, and I'm looking at the way that Ruby and Onyx are feeding off of one another. I'm like, this is so amazing. Like,
I'm looking at it too, Takara. I'm looking at it too, Dr. Ruby.
I know, right? We will connect.
But this is what it's all about, just having these healthy platforms to be able to talk about these things, because you know, and it's a distraction from everything else that's going on in the world, and it's still something that needs to be addressed, because we have so many women walking around here that don't realize that their power and potential can possibly be locked up in the next woman, but you're so concerned of how she looks and how she sounds and what kind of car she drives and what she does on social media and all these things, and you're not focusing on the fact that, you know what, this I can learn from her.
Yeah.
Or you know what, people are often so people are always looking for a come up.
Yes.
And I've had to learn that, and I've had to learn not to get hardened by that. You know what I mean? Because you meet people that give freely. So I'm kind of like the person, you don't have to lie to me to get information from me, or you don't have to lie to me for me to help you. It's free. I don't mind. But then you get people that you think that you're collaborating with and they're competing with you. So that has been a very, very tough lesson for me in this journey, because I'm buying into the whole tribe thing. Like, are we going to be a tribe or not? Are we going to be this group of powerful women that shake the entire, because I mean, we can do it. We do it individually. So imagine what we can do together. But I've had to not get hardened by those people that maliciously come into your life because they see something that you have to offer. They see your energy, they see your power, and they see your potential. And instead of connecting out of genuineness, they connect as a means to undermine or whatever it is they do, and you kind of are left looking like, I don't even understand the purpose why you did that. You could have just asked me. But then you burn a bridge and you lose a relationship when you could have just been honest from the beginning. So there is a tremendous power in connecting with the right people and communication and making sure that we cover these generations and that we do it with honesty and integrity and that we move forward in those ways. And that's why these type of platforms are important, because people get to hear you speak and they get to talk to you and see a little more of your personality other than the post, because I know all of us are so much more than our post.
Yes.
Wow. This has been such a rich conversation. I mean, I can stay here for another hour. I didn't even realize we were 6 minutes over. I'm like, I'm just listening and I'm like taking mental notes and I'm just listening and I'm like, wow, I love this for so many reasons, because I feel the sincerity in what we're doing. And I know all of y'all and I know your hearts. And so I'm watching the comments and it's like, okay, a lot of people need this. They need just that support. Someone just said this was so dope. Yes, it is. Hell, hold on. I love this part of StreamYard. Ruby, I'm about to teach you this.
Please do. Please.
It's amazing.
Oh, I don't need to learn it, Takara. I'm trying to learn too. You need to do a whole session. Just do a class.
Yes.
It's something that fell in my lap, but I love it. But having these conversations is just, the ability of it is just amazing, to be able to really come together and help one another to understand what it is that we need from one another. We don't have it all, and we will never have it all.
Never.
But to be able to say, you know what, I spent 90 minutes of my day listening to women who, are right where I'm at. Let me learn from them. Let me take this in and be able to, hone in on what they're saying. I mean, because it's valid and it's needed, so I'm thankful for y'all just having these conversations today. So I'm going to put this up here really quickly. If you're looking to stay in contact with Onyx, that's her public figure page. You will get some inspirational nuggets all the time. Sometimes she goes live and says some of her amazing spoken word. She drops those nuggets all the time. Follow her on TikTok. I believe it's I Am Onyx as well on TikTok.
And on Instagram.
And so Dr. Ruby is the Oasis Empowerment Zone. And I put this up because you referenced this so much through our conversation. And I believe this is going to be an outlet for people can really gain your the people and where you're at. And I love that you said, you started off with, focusing on single moms and it evolved from there. And when you are evolving and moving, that allows for people to see that you're passionate about touching the lives of people. You just don't stop at one population. There's so much more in you that you have to birth out. And I can tell you from just having a session with Ruby, like just a one-on-one, when we first really talked, we couldn't leave each other's presence. It was so hard. We're like, okay, we got to go back to work because that's what we have to work. Like, okay, we got to go back to work.
And it really did all start over a stapler. That's a whole other story. We said we're going to write a book about that.
Literally, she was like, hey, do you have an extra stapler? And I'm like, sure. And she came in my office and we talked for like an hour and a half and just really figured out how much we have in common with one another. And the rest has been history. Yeah. So we thank you ladies for coming onto the platform. Isha, or Liz, do you guys have any parting words before we play this amazing theme music that Liz created?
I know, right? I love it. But yeah, I just want to say, don't count people out just because of their generation or their age. Like, we all have something to share and learn and grow from. You need someone in your circle that's a little bit further along in the journey, so that they can give you what it is that they picked up along the way. So it'll make it, that much easier to kind of process, because we're all going through life. We're all going through the same things, and we have to learn certain things. So if I'm connected to Takara and she's been through what I'm going through already, that's a good shoulder to have to lean on, to help uplift you and encourage you through everything that you're going through. So no matter, the generation, the age, everybody has something to give, and that can benefit you on your journey. So just be open.
Amen.
Amen. The one thing I would say, I really love what Onyx said about doing it scared. That was something that, even for myself, I find that the most difficult thing to do, but it's something that's really going to evolve you. and really bring you out of your comfort zone and really just allow you involved to the person that you're meant to be wholeheartedly on that end. So that, and also, you know, really just pushing past the pain or the hurt that you have. That's really what people need to hear. So really understanding that, you know, just because you went through it is not, it's not a negative.
Right.
And you know, and knowing that you have to, what's the word? The failure is not an option. So just because you think, like, well, for myself, like, you just because you think that you're failing, it's actually propelling you to be the person that you're meant to be. So push past all that, you know, tagging it along with Isha said, it's just communication is key. So you just keep going. You know, there's never a wrong way. Like, even if you feel like this, like, I don't know how to ask the question, just ask it.
Yeah.
Just ask it.
And you can filter out everything else along the way. But
and they can tell you, like, you know what, next time when you ask that question, don't ask this way, ask like this. You know, and you learn along the way. And it's like, even if you have to take notes, take notes. But yeah, this was a powerful, and I think it needed to happen, and I know it needed to happen as a conversation, and it needs to be had. So continue the great work that we're doing, everybody.
Yeah.
And you said something really key, and I know this was one of my struggles for a long time, just being able to be open to receive criticism, to be able to understand that I don't know everything, and it's not meant to know everything, and it's okay to invite people in my life to be able to show me, to be able to help me get to that next level of where, one, they see that I can go to and soar to, but just being able to say, you know what, Takara, it's okay to let this woman in. She's not going to hurt you like such and such did. She's not going to drop you like such and such did. You know, and just understanding and being open to the process to be able to receive from different voices that are on the path, like you're on the path and doing what you're doing. And so, you know, I had to really let all the pain and trauma go of those who dropped me and those who, you know, offended me and those who said that they were for me and they just fell off the planet. Or, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day, you know, that, okay, you know, when you go to look up somebody as a Facebook friend and they deleted you, and it's like, what did I do to you? You know? Now it's like, okay, deuces, because I only have room for 5,000 of y'all. So if you thank you, you know, I'm good now. That's okay. I can add, you know, to my plate of, you know, so I can, okay, you really want to be in my life? Okay, cool. You know, and people are like, well, you know, that's kind of harsh. Well, no, it's not, because when you really understand where you're heading, you want to connect with like-minded people. And I know for me, a lot of the people that I've met, even in the past, I would say 2 years, social media, people that I've never met in person, but like, I want to sew into your business. Check your Cash App. It's happened to me multiple times, you know, and I'm like, what? I see what you're doing on social media, you know, and I know that you're doing this and I believe in you. We get that more than we get it from our family. So why not be open to the different people who God is sending in your life? Because what I've learned is this: you're going to build a wall or you're going to build a bridge. But sometimes we need to tear down that wall in order to build a bridge, because we need a bridge. We need to be able to cross over into the next things that we're created to be. If you build that wall so tall, nobody can get over it, including yourself.
Right.
That's so true.
So true.
True.
And I think that we're in the process of kind of breaking that down, because we've all built up things in order to protect ourselves over the years from, like you said, the trauma and the things that we've been through. So like, I know this is going to help somebody kind of break through that wall and kind of use those building blocks to build that bridge in order to allow other people to come over and to come in. And I know it's helped me personally. And it's a struggle and it's a day-to-day thing for everybody, but we have to learn, like, in order to get to that next, like, you have to cross over.
Right.
Yeah.
Ladies, remember who your audience is, and remember that nobody ever died from being told no.
Right.
Every no leads you to your one right yes.
That's true.
Yep. Every no leads you to
Wow.
all you need is one right yes.
Right.
And this is why I love this, because we don't have all the answers. And these wisdom nuggets that we're all dropping is inspiring. Yes. It's like igniting something in us. Like, I feel like I can go run a marathon without my inhaler right about now.
I don't know about that, but I mean, I can do something.
I'll be there on the
marathon.
Girl. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just ready to run.
No, I know. You know,
yeah, you know, it's like, wow, you know, sometimes you don't know how much you need this until you step out and do it.
Yeah.
That's so true. That's true.
And here we are. So y'all gonna make yourself regulars. I see what y'all trying to do.
I
mean, we see y'all. No, I mean, seriously, this has been a healthy conversation.
Yeah.
See, someone likes this. Nobody ever died from being told no. I love that. Like,
yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
Look, I'm already practicing the art of no. You just took that to a whole nother level for me.
Yeah.
No, died from it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah, I call it the power of no.
Yes.
There's so much power in that word, and it's, you know, I just feel like, man, there's so much power in my no, and I take the power from your no, because it's not going to stop me.
Ooh,
right.
Ooh.
I've never heard
that's
from
good.
it.
Yeah.
Right? That's good.
That's making me. That's making my whole body like, hold up. I'm gonna call you about that one.
I'm loving this. Oh my God. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Anytime. So next week, please tune in, everybody that has been watching us, or you're catching us on the replay. He said, she said, they share, and Isha is kicking off her segment talking about what?
Love for real.
Love for real. So, make sure to tune in. We thank you guys so much for being here, and we're going to end our show with this amazing theme music. Take us on out, Liz. Uh-oh.
Women share to be bold and take risks. Talk. Women say what they feel and mean what they say. Yeah. Talk. Believe in your power. So much power. Yeah. Talk. Where women share. Women share.